All right, shalom, family.
Shalom.
Hey, praise Yah once again for allowing us to make it onto another new moon. It's a blessing. Funny thing is, this past Sabbath, something came up about. Someone said to one of our brothers that it didn't seem like new moon was that important for us to come to. So I told the brother, yo, remember when it was Saul, it was a time for the new moon when, David wasn't there. And, Saul was like, something must be, you know, wrong for him not to be in his seat, So for him to see that there's something off for David not to be in his seat, then you know that it's something that was regularly done, So, don't think that, the new moon is not something. This is something that Yahweh gave us. He wants us to. These are signs between us and Him, showing our obedience as we keep His holy days, His new moons, His Sabbaths. So, praise Yah once again, for allowing us to take part in these things because a lot of people are not. And for us to be here right now, praise Yah, in this new moon, new month, it is a blessing. Now, tonight's title of the sermon is called Behind the Shores of America, My People, My Heritage. Many of us have heard of that saying, if you don't know your history, you will be doomed to repeat it. I remember going to school, and within history class, we would always learn about the Greeks, about the Romans, learning the history of the Europeans' ancestral background. But when it came to learning the history of the so-called African Americans, our heritage, and I know we have that month, the history that was told didn't go back further than the 1600s. Not like how the history class, how the history went back the medieval times, the Romans. We hear about the Greeks, with the Europeans' history passing the shores of America. But when it came to our history, it always behind the shores of America. It's always been in this land, and we didn't have any kind of other information about, okay, our ancestral background, across the shores of America. While the people of the Hebrew Israelites' history stayed behind the shores of America, our history is within the Bible. But it's more than just we are as a people. It's also about what we were and are supposed to do as a chosen nation. If y'all can go ahead and turn to Genesis chapter 15, that's where we're going to start from. And we're going to read Genesis chapter 15, and we're going to go from verse 1 to verse 16. Now, this is where, Yahweh starts to deal with Abram, before he gave him the name Abraham. Go ahead, my brother, when you're ready.
Genesis chapter 15 and verse 1. After these things, the word of Yahweh came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I'm your shield and your exceeding great reward.
Now, this is something that we should all look forward to and not forget, as far as us wanting that same thing that has just been said to Abraham. For Yahweh being a shield unto us, for Yahweh being a great reward unto us. And those are the things that actually were forgotten, and where our ancestors fell away from. They forgot who their shield was. They forgot who their reward was. And these are the things that we got to make sure, even though we go through certain things in life, that Yahweh is our protector. He's our shield. And there's many other things that they will call, as far as, titles, but there's a name that Yahweh, we are called, the Israelites, and that's one of the things that we gotta, make sure we don't forget that Yahweh can be a shield if we do the things that's necessary of us. You know? So, go ahead, my brother.
Verse 2. And Abram said, Adonai Elohim, what will you give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me you have given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of Yahweh came unto him, saying, This shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if you be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall your seed be. And he believed in Yahweh, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
Now see, Abraham believed in Yahweh, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. But understand something. The word came to him first. He heard it, and he believed in Yahweh. And that's the thing that we got to understand. We in this walk that we are walking in right now, the word has came. Yahweh has allowed his righteous words to come to us. Now we need to do what we need to do, so it can be counted unto us for righteousness. Go ahead, my brother.
And he said unto him, I am Yahweh that brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give you this land to inherit it. And he said, Adonai Elohim, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and, lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Now this verse right here is one of the great verses out there that a lot of people, they use it. But, we watch TV shows, we watch different things, and, they kind of say like the 400 years is done, or like the 400 years has came and passed, but there have been mention of the 400 years. So that there's folks out there that have some kind of understanding that the 400 years is there, but no, it's not up yet. It hasn't been fulfilled yet. Now, this right here, being a stranger, and I know that a lot of us, of course, we have grown and we have our kids and everything, and the thing about it is, we've gotten so comfortable in the ways of America, the ways of this land, not really understanding or being given the fact of this is not our land. So I know there's a lot of fight and there's a lot of hope and to gain or to receive a lot more. Or, we hear the whole thing of the 40 acres and a mule. But if we continue to do the thing that we're supposed to do, our inheritance is a lot more greater than 40 acres and a mule. We have a lot more that Yahweh is going to give to us. Again, if we do what we're supposed to do as far as being obedient unto Yahweh and walking in his righteousness. But even though, that 400 years that we continue to hear in different things, yet still, a lot of people don't understand that, no, the 400 years is not up. We still got more things to go through. And it's going to get hectic. And we got to make sure that we are ready. Because understand something, even in verse 12, down to the very last part, it says, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. So we just need to make sure that we continue to prepare, because 400 years is written, and it is going to be up, and we got to make sure that we're ready to take part in what's about to take place. Go ahead, my brother.
When you just thinking on that, as we are hearing the people who have gone to Israel, and I mean they've been there since 1969.
Yeah.
So you're talking about being in Israel since 1969. They, of course, at this point believe that they have, they've gotten established there,
Right.
being that long. We got people in here that ain't been living. You know what I'm saying? That they weren't born in 1969. So think about that. These people have been there. Some got there in the 80s. We still got people around here that wasn't born then. So they've been there that long, but now are starting to run into issues and troubles and whatnot. But it goes back to what's written in the Word. Your power is to sit still. But when you get antsy, you feel like I gotta do something, and they did those things, and those things worked for a while. 1969 to now is a long time. We're talking about a whole generation. The original people who led them there are not even alive anymore. Now they're starting to go through all of these things, because just like you said, there's a time limit that was placed on it. So, in all fairness, they skipped part of the punishment.
Right. And it says the same way we came is the same way we're supposed to leave, by ships. And people jumping, taking flight, leaving, and going before the time that Yahweh has placed for us to be here. So there's a like you said, my brother, there is a time frame, and if we do what we need to do that's necessary, Yahweh is gonna bring us out of this. Look how we're here right now. A lot of us had different things in mind, different places that we wanted to go, and different roads to travel. But look how Yahweh has allowed us to be here right now. And Yahweh guide and protect, man. And Yahweh has been guiding and protecting us, and praise Yah for that. Go ahead, my brother.
It's interesting that you mentioned in the opening, if you don't know your past, you're bound to repeat it. And since evening, my Isha was listening to one of those documentaries where it goes into our people were here before the Pilgrims and all that. But it's interesting even with that, like the people that are over there now. It doesn't matter where you were at first. That curse is that curse. So all you did was you had a nicer boat ride here for the punishment. You just didn't go through the hardships of the punishment or the trip that some of us went through. But you were already here, and you still had to suffer through that punishment. The punishment is the punishment. I don't care if you got there before, they still all endured the same thing.
Yep.
So we love to hear people say, we were here before them. Okay, yeah. But when that punishment came down, even the ones that were here already got it too.
Exactly.
No escaping the punishment.
Go ahead, my brother.
Verse 14. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the lawlessness of the Amorites is not yet full.
Now, see, and I know a lot of us don't realize, and I wanted to, and we are going to go to that, Leviticus 26, verse 17 through 18. But on the next graphic, can you do me a favor and change it to that next graphic? Now, this right here, the reason why I wanted to show this is because we have two people up here. We have our elder priest, Yaakov ben Israel, and we have that officer over there. Both of them supposed to be doing service when it comes down to dealing with the law. But we know that one is dealing with the law of Yahweh, and we know one is dealing with the service, the law of man. But at the end of the day, we know that back in the days when it came down to an officer, and I want to say this, not all officers is out there is dealing with what that officer and other officers are dealing with. It's just like when it's just like folks out there think that all black folks is the same. All is illiterate, pants wearing down beneath their waist and everything like that. But this cop here is making other cops look bad. It's just like how you have other Israelites out there allowing us to look bad, and we're not supposed to entreat the word how they entreat the word. Now, again, we have two people that's up here that deals with the law. One dealing with it in righteousness, and one that dealt with it unrighteously. Now, like I said, both of them have their own service. Praise Yah for the service, for the righteousness, how our elder Yaakov dealt with dealing with the law of Yahweh. Because at the end of the day, it boils down to, and when we read about the judgment that the nation is going to receive for what they have done to us, they're going to receive their judgment. Yahweh is going to give them their just reward. Because there's going to be a reward for righteousness, and there's going to be a reward for unrighteousness. That person there in that police uniform does not deserve to have that covering on. Our elder priest, he deserves that. Not saying, he's 100. I can't say I saw everything that our elder Yaakov has done, but I know the things that I've seen and I've witnessed. Praise Yah, because he cared for the people. He had love in his heart for his people. And not only for his people, because he even said that whoever come through those doors, he's willing to teach them. It could be white, it could be Chinese, it could be anybody. Anybody who Yahweh brings forth through those doors, man, he's willing to teach if they have an ear to hear. That's love. That officer did not have no love in his heart at all. And there's many reasons why the judgment is going to be placed on the nation that we're serving. Now, I want us to go to Leviticus 26, verse 17 through 18. Go ahead, my brother.
Even what you're saying about the position of both of them, and kind of the job description is almost the same. Mm-hmm. To protect and serve.
To protect and serve, my brother. Yep.
Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 11.
Leviticus 26, verse 17 and 18.
(17 and 18).
Yes.
Verse 17. And I'll set my face against you, and you shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and you shall flee when none pursues you. And if you will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I'll punish you 7 times more for your sins.
And that's the thing that a lot of our folks out there don't realize and don't understand. Yeah, we're on this land, but there's a major reason why we're going through the things that we're going through. There's a reason why the judgment and the weight of the judgment is a lot more greater on us than any other nation. And that's the reason why I wanted to touch on that, because there's so much people out there don't realize that when it came down to us being judged, 7 times more. 7 times more. So when we see what we just saw, where someone who massacres 10, 15 people, the Gentile, and is still able to end up inside a court, to be judged, not being killed out on the street, but to actually being able to be judged, to be brought in a court. But yet still, we don't get that chance. A lot of us don't get that chance to end up in court. We being judged and executed right on the streets. So what I'm saying is, we need to understand that, yeah, it's an upsetting thing to see. But then the fight, we got to allow Yahweh to take care of the greater things that we don't understand. Because they, like I said, from what we just read, 7 times more for your sins that we're going to be punished. So if we don't have that kind of insight of what's written, then we're not going to understand what's really going on, or why these things are going on, or why we being judged like that. But these are things that's written, and these are things that a lot of these Sunday preachers, pastors, bishops out there not allowing folks to understand. Our ancestral backgrounds go before the shores of America. But because we're here and so much years have passed, and we've learned the ways of our masters, those things wasn't even taught unto us. So praise Yah for giving us, brothers and sisters, our head priests, our elder priests. Praise Yah for our elder priests, because the other camps that I see out there that's not even dealing with certain things that's written in the Bible, we could have been there. So those are different things that we do need to look at also. So that's why I wanted to touch on that, because like I say, if we don't understand why these things are happening, these are the things, we're not walking in the way, a lot of us is not walking in the ways of Yahweh. Tonight is a new moon. And you know how much of us out there is not even keeping this new moon? The Sabbath comes every week. You know how many look how many of us is missing the Sabbath. Praise Yah for the few that comes and take part in this. Don't take it lightly, because at the end of the day, Yahweh, this is us showing Yahweh our obedience. Yeah, we might not be perfect, but this is us showing our obedience unto Yahweh. Go ahead, my brother.
As it was written during the times of Noah, they were drinking, partying,
yes,
going on about their business, and they were getting closer and closer to destruction. But every man still went about his normal way until those things got underway, and at that point it's too late to try and deal with those things, and we can see just part of the plans that are happening. That is some really strange things, that these are not normal times. And even mentioning that situation of the people in Israel, and you were talking about us, being blessed to be here in this moment. When I first got in the Word, a brother gave me a YBY book. That was my first introduction. The second time, I tried to go to the place where those people who are in Israel. I went there 3 times. Every time I tried, Yahweh wouldn't let me get there. Then I saw a television program. That's how I got to Elder Yaakov. But all of those other things that didn't go through, I could be getting kicked out of Israel right now.
Yes. Man, there's so many different other camps out there that where we could have ended up not getting, not thinking that we would have to get a baptism.
Right.
I mean, come on, calling on the name of Jesus and not calling on Yahshua. So there's different, and And that's the thing, man. We need to understand that we have a greater inheritance that's across the shores of America. And what we're dealing with now and what we're doing now is going back into what we read from the beginning. Showing Yahweh, hearing his word, being obedient unto his word, that he can be a shield unto us. Because we got some serious times coming. Go ahead, brother.
You know, it's interesting. The bottom line with the new moon is we don't see the importance because it doesn't have Sabbath behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, people don't give it its due respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the one time that Yahweh said, get together. But there's no real set order of getting together. So it's like, I can still do what I got to do, and new moon is just a new moon. But then you don't understand what all it sets up for.
Right. Right.
All of the stuff that comes behind just knowing the new moon. It sets the precedence for your holy days, your months, your year, all those things. But because it don't say Sabbath, you just kind of, whatever. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't.
See, and, you know, I understand we're not in our land. And, you know, don't push that excuse about, we're not in our land. If Yahweh knows what we're able to do and what we're not able to do. So if you want to use that excuse, that's between you and Yah. But understand something. This is something that Yahweh is said as a commandment for us to keep before Him and to have a holy convocation. It's not just the Sabbath.
All right. I don't mean to cut you. I mean, it's like you were mentioning earlier. It was so important that Saul the king knew there has to be something wrong with Dawid for him not to be here.
It had to be, man.
Dawid, which is a man after Yahweh's own heart, his ultimate servant. That man said, nah, something's got to be wrong for him not to be here. And we know how foul Saul was.
Yeah. Somebody trying to kill you. Yo. But we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 31. Jeremiah chapter 31. Like I say, I know that there's so many disheartening things that's going on out there with our brothers and sisters, the ill treatment that we're receiving, but at the end of the day, Yahweh is going to bring righteous judgment down, even though it's a hurtful thing to see what's going on to our people, But another thing too, when things really get closer to our homes, we're gonna really understand how disheartening it can be when we start losing, Yah forbid, loved ones or people that's closer to our area, and when things really hit the fan, So we're gonna read Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 1 through 12.
At the same time, says Yahweh, will I be the El of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus says Yahweh, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. Yahweh has appeared of old unto me, saying, yes, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore with loving kindness have I drawn you. Again, I will build you, and you shall be built, O Virgin of Israel. You shall again be adorned with your tabrets, and shall go forth in dances of them that make merry.
Now, see, these are the things that we're supposed to be looking forward to. And if we continue to do the things that we need to do before Yahweh, Yahweh is going to allow us to receive of those things. Don't be forgetful. Even though, we're behind the shores of America, we cannot be forgetful for the higher calling that we are called to be. There's so many. I know every one of us, have our own plate and different things, we're dealing with, and whatever stress and weight and heaviness or whatever we're dealing with. But at the end of the day, don't be forgetful of what Yahweh have in store for us. Because behind the shores of America is not the only place that we're going to be. Yah's will. Go ahead, my brother.
Verse 5. You shall yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. The planters shall plant and shall eat them as common things. For there shall be a day that the watchmen upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise you, and let us go up to Zion unto Yahweh our El. For thus says Yahweh, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish you, praise you, and say, O Yahweh, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I'll bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth. And with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither.
See, and that right there, now this is prophecy. This is something that we know that has not been fulfilled yet. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. These are things that we got to be ready to deal with when these things come. So we know that there's so much more that's within the scriptures, that I could have touched on, but for time's sake, we are in these times here where we see a lot of us, man, praise Yah, is awakening, is knowing who they are as a people, but yet still we do have wolves in sheep's clothing that know who they are as a people. It's wolves in sheep clothing, making it seem like, okay, yeah, knowing who you are as a people, that's beautiful, that's lovely, but there's more to it than that. There's a service that we're supposed to keep for Yahweh. When it came down to the giving of the laws, all that stuff, we are the ones that's supposed to be dealing with people and giving direction. Praise Yah. Yahweh is giving us direction. We need to do the same. Go ahead, my brother.
They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn.
It says, they shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. Understand something, please. We have some serious times that's coming. If we understand what that's being said right here, how Yahweh is going to bring us and lead us with weeping, with supplications, that's praying. You praying and begging. Imagine you reaching to that point where our ancestors were to the point of believing that they were going to die out in the wilderness. They were ready to go back to Egypt. They were ready to go back to Egypt because the suffering that that they were going through, that they feel like they were going to die, that they were ready to go back to Egypt. Verse 9, they shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. Meditate on that, because understand something. We got a lot more than what we see our brothers and sisters going through in the streets with these cops. When it comes closer to where we have to deal with it, I pray that Yah allow us to deal with the situations that come before us decently and in order, that we won't provoke Yahweh to put us off. He won't cut us off. Because understand something, that verse 9 right there, that's a situation that we are going to go through. Weeping and supplications. Go ahead, my brother.
Hear the word of Yahweh, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For Yahweh has redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of Yahweh, for wheat and for wine and for oil, and for the young of the flock and of the herd. And their souls shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not sorrow any more at all.
That's right there. Now, we have, again, something a lot more greater to look forward to. We play a bigger role, than just being a mother, a father, a brother. Yahweh has chosen a nation, us, not just to know who we are as a people, but to serve him. That's one of the things that he wanted to bring. He brought us out of Egypt for, to serve him. We gotta make sure we understand that part, man, because we can't be forgetful and thinking, it's not about just praising and worship and giving thanks, but we gotta understand the servitude of it. We have a service that we have to provide. It says, for the love shall cover the multitude of sins. Yahshua asked Cephas, do you love me? Do you love me? 3 times he said, feed my sheep. And that's one of the things that we got to understand too, that the things that we have been given and that we are being given, this word, the understanding, that we like I say, we as a people have a greater role when it comes down to praise Yah in this righteous kingdom that's coming. And that's one of the things that we got to make sure that we, Yah's will, working towards. But understand something, please. Weeping and with supplications, he's going to lead us and bring us out. All right, we're going to go to, we're still in Jeremiah chapter 31, but we're going to go to verse 31 through 40. Jeremiah chapter 31, and we're going to go to verse 31 and finish at 40.
Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I'll make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, says Yahweh.
A new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah. He didn't say he was going to make this is saying it right here, not with any other nation, with us. Yeah, it said that the other nations, the Gentiles, is going to be grafted in. But as far as we, that new covenant is being made with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah. We play a great role in what is to come. Don't allow what's going on out there in the world, man, to make you do something or judge something that you don't need to judge when Yahweh is going to actually take care of it. Of course, if it comes into in your direction, then may Yahweh allow us to deal with it in a way that it won't provoke him. And that's my thing, man. It's like I hope when all this madness goes down that I'm able to do the right thing. Y'all forgive me, even if it means to bring somebody down, and I want us to be able to be ready for that. We got to prepare. Seriously. Go ahead, my brother.
But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahweh, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their El, and they shall be my people.
Now we continue to hear, and we've talked about this so many times, man, but it's like a lot of people not realizing that, the laws cannot be done away with. If the laws were supposed to be done away with, then why would Yahweh want us to put it, the laws in our inward parts? So it must be something important. It's a way for us to conduct ourselves towards one another. And so there's no way that the law can be done away with. It's just lies. I mean, praise Yah once again for allowing us to be able to understand and be able to know where certain things are. The main thing is, praise Yah for having family, brothers and sisters that's in this one accord, man, and working to be in that righteous kingdom. Brothers and sisters who put these things together, that Yahweh allow us to put these things together in this little sanctuary that we have, man, it's a blessing, really and truly. Because once you have one brother, this sister here, and everybody just working towards this higher calling, it's good to be around these people. Because it helps all of us. So these little times that we get in the new moon and the Sabbath and the holy days, the times that we can get, to come together, to read out of the law and the prophets, the letters that's been left behind for us, it's a blessing. Like Esaac, usually like our priest Esaac say, there's other brothers and sisters out there, even strangers who don't have the ability to come together, to have a holy convocation, a little sanctuary where they can come together. So it's a blessing for them to really even have a chance to, be able to hear on the internet, to watch on the internet, to be able to watch the things that Yahweh allow us to put out there for them to listen to. So, it's been a blessing, man. And like I said, we got a lot more to look forward to across the shores of America. Go ahead, my brother.
Our brother, earlier you mentioned about, when they were out in the wilderness and they wanted to turn back and go to Egypt. We look at that broad scope, and I'm sure everyone didn't want to go back to Egypt. Mm-hmm. What we hear about is those who want to go back to Egypt. And even in this day, you keep saying, what we have to look forward to. But amongst us, we still have those who are looking back into Egypt.
Right.
We know we've all come from Christianity, and we still have people amongst us with that Christian mindset who are ready to trip or willing to trip up anyone because they can't stay focused on the prize ahead. Mm-hmm. They let simple isms and schisms get them off, and you're pulling other people wanting to go back to that Egypt mindset.
Right.
Why would you say that I'm in the word, I'm in the truth, but your actions show different? That's the problem, is that we are still those same people in the wilderness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With the same mindset.
Yep. Yep. Go ahead, my brother.
And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Yahweh. For I'll forgive their lawlessness, and I'll remember their sin no more. Thus says Yahweh, which give the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus says Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the city shall be built to Yahweh from the tower of Hananeel unto the gate of the corner. And the measuring line shall yet go forth over against it upon the hill Garib, and shall compass about to Goath. And the whole valley of the dead bodies, and of the ashes, and all the fields unto the brook of Kidron, unto the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be holy unto Yah. It shall not be plucked up, nor thrown down any more forever.
Anymore, forever. Now we have one more that we're going to read. Is let's go to Genesis chapter 26. Like I said, that all that we've just read is prophecy. All those things are things that we, praise Yah, can look forward to. I know a lot of us out there are working hard and trying to support our families and, just to be able to make a living. But as we do these things, we gotta be mindful of how we gotta conduct ourselves before Yahweh, showing Yahweh. And it's not just coming and keeping the holy days and all that, and having this little sanctuary. Like we've talked about before, is when we leave here, it doesn't, being Israel doesn't start at this little sanctuary. It doesn't end at this little sanctuary. So for the disobedience and all those things and being punished 7 times more is because we're not continuing what we're supposed to do from way back when the commandments was given to our people. Our ancestors, they have fallen to the ways of the nations, and we continue to do the same thing over and over and again. So how is it that we're going to make it through if we don't consider the things when we leave here? Is, like I said, as far as being a nation of people, before as being a nation of Israel, it doesn't stop here. When we leave out of this sanctuary, it's supposed to continue. For he endures to the end. Not just when you leave out of the sanctuary. No, to the end. Even out there, when we out there working, when we out these streets. So, just please, be mindful. Because we have a greater role before Yahweh. He placed it. He's the one that, put us to be a nation unto himself. He chose us. Imagine that. The creator of all things, choosing us. Out of all these people on this earth, that he could have chosen, and he chose us. We don't understand how great that is. Seriously. We need to show people who we are. All right, so we're going to go to Genesis chapter 26. And this will be the last reading for tonight. Verse 1 through 5. Genesis chapter 26 and verse 1 through 5.
There was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Esaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And Yahweh appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell you of. Sojourn in this land, and I'll be with you, and will bless you. For unto you and unto your seed I'll give all these countries, and I'll perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham your father. And I'll make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto your seed all these countries, and in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
Now, that's one of the main things that I wanted to make sure that we understand, and not just us to understand, for the nations to understand. Because if we are supposed to be the seed that shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, shouldn't we try to get more information and understand who are the children of Israel and what they're supposed to be about. So when we see these things going on within the world and what's happening to our people, we need to make sure that not just us, as far as being the Israelites, but also the nations that's out there that's listening, understand something. We play a major part in this, and Yahweh is going to make sure. We reading it right here. Verse 4. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. We have a great role to play and for people to see. Not just the strangers to see. Our families too. Because at the end of the day, we can't, and we've talked about that. We talked about that before about, dimming our light and understand something. There's no, my mother, my father, there's no relative of mine, trust me, it's going to make me do something else different than what thus saith Yahweh. And we got to make sure that, we uphold and do what's necessary because we are a chosen nation. Our ancestral backgrounds go before the shores of America. Yeah, though we behind the shores, our ancestral backgrounds go before, and Yahweh has allowed great blessings to take place for us if we do what we're supposed to do. That's the main thing that we got to keep on understanding. If we do what we're supposed to do and being obedient, showing Yahweh that we are his people. Go ahead, my brother.
What gets confusing is like the things you're saying, for us to do what we're supposed to do. That's for us. When you understand that power has been put on Israel, anybody can misuse that power.
Yeah.
When you deal with Jacob, his father-in-law basically said, look, I know that Yahweh has blessed me because of you.
Mm-hmm.
So people will misuse the power of what's given unto Israel, and we not even know it. When you look at the situation, Laban was the one with money. It's hard for us to see that we are the cause of the blessing when somebody else had more money than us.
Mm-hmm.
So Laban is the one that's got in control of everything. But he got sense enough to know my blessing coming through this boy.
Right.
So he uses him as much as he possibly can. And that very thing is the power that sits on Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to convince us of that because we look at our current state and say, how can this be coming through me?
Right.
How can this be coming? Look at the stuff that I got to go through. And then other people are seeing the power that is on you and are misusing Israel to get it. And it has been happening unto us in every place that we've landed. It ain't just America. And then we do it to each other in America because we watched, the nations do those things. But it's hard for people who don't have any understanding of this word. And some people have some understanding of the word. Matter of fact, sometimes we can be in the word so long that we become desensitized to certain things. So you hear it, but it doesn't resonate.
Right.
Something has to happen to you for you to actually be able to feel it and say, now I understand that. Because that's what happened with Job. Job said, I knew of Yahweh. But now that this happened to me, now I know Yahweh.
Yeah, he understands. He understands. He understands
Right.
now. And that's the thing, man. Like I said before, man, our ancestral background goes as we know, But praise Yah for those who don't know. At the end of the day, read with us. It's saying what you're saying. You think about Yosef and our ancestors being in Goshen. In Goshen, it's like when the famine came through, they were good over there in Egypt to where they were actually able to gather the corn and all that kind of stuff and be able to go through the famine. Praise Yah, we were there, you know, and that's and we are a blessing, and just remember that, you know, and it's a blessing that Yahweh, the creator of all things, man, choose us as a nation of people. Now let us not just you know, take those things, yo, for granted, man. Really and truly. Go ahead, my brother.
You know, when you look at it, Yahweh keeps referring to us as seed. And one thing about seed, it has to be nourished, watered. And you've got to look at or ask yourself, what are you being nourished with? What are you being watered with? What are you allowing to be poured upon you? But once the nourishment and the watering comes, all seeds, once the plant breaks out of the seed, they all do one thing. They all strive to reach the light. No matter what they got to curve around or bend around, the ultimate goal is to get to the light.
Yeah, say, let Yahweh be our light, man. All right, go ahead, my brother.
Verse 5. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
And that's what we need to make sure we do, like our forefather did. We have Abraham, praise Yah, we have Esaac, praise Yah, we have Jacob, and we have Yeshua. We have many others that didn't go through and have things easy, but they still made sure they done what they were supposed to do before Yahweh, man. And obeying the voice of Yahweh, don't just talk about it. Please, Yahweh will make sure, yo, we be about it, man. Once again, y'all, praise Yah, and, you know, for allowing us to take part in this new moon. And, you know, shalom, and Yah be with y'all. All right.
Shalom.
Shalom.